Liverpool take the 3 points to go to the top of the Premier League table after beating Bournemouth in the opening fixture of the Premier League. However, it was far from a comfortable victory. With goals from Cody Gakpo and Hugo Ekitike and heroic moments from the likes of Federico Chiesa and Mohamed Salah, Liverpool saw off Bournemouth after being pegged back twice. We're going to look at what went well, what could have been done better, and what Arne Slot might do moving forward. So Slot went with a similar X-side that he did against Palace, barring the change of Jones for McAllister. And again, Ryan Gravenberch remained unavailable due to suspension. And to be honest with you, we did look that little bit better in midfield. McAllister looked a lot sharper and fitter than he did last Sunday, and he did get the assist. McAllister also looked like he was the one who was tasked with the Gravenberch role, which he then took upon himself to do it in his own unique way. McAllister initially was the deepest of the three midfielders, where he would come and collect the ball either from Alisson or from one of the defenders, whether that be to take it up the pitch or just recycle possession. As you can see, Ekitike picks up the ball in a deep position. As I said yesterday, if he wasn't getting involved and the ball wasn't coming to him, he'd force himself to get involved. He'd come deep and become a part of the build-up. As you can see here, he receives the ball with his back to the goal, plays a little 1-2 with Alexis McAllister, who then obviously returns the ball to him. Yeah, he may have got a little bit lucky with the bounce, but he stays composed and finishes it off. Now, although our defence was looking shaky throughout, our attacking was nothing short of brilliant. With intense pressing, key movement and pace in our front line, Bournemouth were just struggling to recover from the attacks that we were throwing at them. In fact, at one point it looked like they were getting help defending by VAR. I still stand by my point that VAR should be binned if they don't make massive improvements urgently. I don't understand how Senesi has got away with deliberately handballing it, and apparently it wasn't a clear goal scoring opportunity. Any fan from any fan base will tell you that that was a clear cut handball and he was going through on goal. Ekitike's positioning was literally, he was running directly towards the goal. He was in a one-on-one situation, and if Senesi didn't handball it, there was nobody else. He was sort of the last line of defence. There was nobody else to cover. So for me, that is ridiculous from VAR. But moving swiftly on from those fools, but sticking with Ekitike, as he did get the assist for Liverpool's second goal for Cody Gakpo. Ekitike showed strength, IQ and brilliant hold-up play to lay off the ball to Cody Gakpo, as he mentioned in his post-match interview that he knew exactly where Gakpo was going. And once Gakpo received the ball, you knew exactly what was going to happen. Touch, inside and bottom of the goal, or bottom right shall I say. Gakpo, one thing he has been is efficient. So the fans, well, there was a TikTok that I seen where they were saying Gakpo is going to be the new scapegoat, and I sort of agree with that. I do think a lot of fans don't credit or give Gakpo the credit for what he's or for what he does. He's very efficient though. That's one thing he is. You give him the ball in a good position and he will score, as he showed yesterday. Guys, just before I continue on, I just wanted to let you know to like and subscribe if you haven't done so already for more content like this, and share the channel around to try and help us grow. But yeah, strap yourselves in because it's going to go a little bit downhill from here. So if there's one man we need to be highly critical of yesterday, it was none other than the man on your screens now, Ibrahim Konate. Yes, I understand it could have been a blip, and it might have been a blip, but to be honest, his head looked like it wasn't in the game. I just hope it isn't in Madrid already. And yes, the first goal wasn't entirely Konate's fault. I'm not going to hold him to account. It was Szoboszlai's touch that led to the counter-attack, which then obviously led to Bournemouth's goal. Again, this just shows how open we are and how prone we are to the counter-attack with the likes of Ryan Gravenberch in the team. We need a proper number 6 in this squad. Even if Gravenberch comes back from injury, we can't allow him to do the same amount of work that he did last season. We need either Stefan Bajcetic to be given the opportunity and the chance to prove himself, or Liverpool will have to cash out and go and get another number 6. The one thing that did piss me off in this attack was the fact that Ibrahim Konate was strolling back. Shades of Trent Alexander-Arnold. The only other person that I seen that with was Trent. And again, it was in majority of the time, it was in his last season. And again, Konate is just reminding me of that. That first attack, he could have closed down David Brooks a bit quicker and tried to stop the cross from coming in. However, he was nowhere near Brooks. Second goal Liverpool conceded was nothing short of a disaster. Liverpool were hoping to counter the goal that Semenyo had scored by scoring one of their own. However, with a misunderstanding between Salah and Szoboszlai causing him to fall over, we were countered again. And Konaté's positioning here was extremely ridiculous. Now, if you take a look at Konaté's initial position, it wasn't as bad when Bournemouth were first making their way up the pitch. In fact, it was okay, but he was still behind their last man. But as Bournemouth started to approach our box, Konaté started seeing stars in Madrid. I don't understand why he was going towards Virgil van Dijk, as there was a little bit of confusion between Van Dijk and himself as well. Van Dijk was trying to say, yo, what are you doing? He was going closer and closer to Virgil van Dijk, leaving the two attackers on the right-hand side wide open and enough space for them to attack. And between the two of them, they couldn't stop Semenyo anyway, who went alone and buried it clinically. Konaté actually ended up tumbling over, making himself look a little bit more stupid. And yeah, it needs to improve. I think it will, but there is the contract talks going around, as we all may have seen. And if Konaté doesn't sign, it does look like Liverpool will be open to sell him. And to be honest with you, I'm all for that. Not because of his quality, not because of this game, but if the player doesn't want to sign a contract, he doesn't want to be here, the door is that way. Just a word on this man, Antoine Semenyo, to take what was said to him on the chin and carry on with the game, and in fact go on to score a brace. That is the perfect slap in the face for the fan that was chatting rubbish to him. And like I said, there's no space for racism in football. In fact, there's no space for it anywhere. So yeah, whoever that person was, whether he was in a wheelchair or not, racism is not accepted. He should be locked up, and what they should do is throw away the key. That's what I would do anyway. But moving on to the next goal, some would call it jammy, I call it brilliant attacking football. The ball was crossed in, what a ball that was as well, world-class ball from a world-class player. Salah played the cross in and it's sort of curling in towards the goal, always making it difficult for the goalkeeper to know what to do. Should I come out? Should I stay back? The goalkeeper opts to come forward and slap it out, which then ends up going towards Chiesa off the Bournemouth defender's head, and Chiesa volleys it in. Now, I spoke about Ekitike not being Darwin Núñez. Well, Chiesa isn't no Darwin Núñez either. No disrespect to Darwin, we had his moments, but Chiesa is clinical. I mean, if that ain't a clinical finish in a desperate time where we needed a winner, then I don't know what is. So again, I'm going to reiterate the fact that Chiesa should be sticking around, and he should be given a chance to play under Arne's slot and become one of the attackers for Liverpool Football Club. If the geezer's going to give you moments like that, and he's going to play with his heart on his sleeve, and the fans love him, I don't understand what's not to like. Again, he can sort of replace Lucho and Darwin in that sort of aspect where they leave it all out on the field, give 110% and play with their hearts on their sleeve. It's sort of normally is only with the South American players where you get that, call it 120%. But yeah, the way Lucha and Darwin were playing with their hearts on their sleeve, I see that in Chiesa as well. It's just his injuries that might be the breaking of him, but I think that he's definitely earned his chance. He scored in the Carabao Cup final, and he's done it again today. In moments where we need him, he's the one that shows up, and that for me is a player, and a very classy player at that. The final goal was from the Egyptian king, and he was relentless in this moment and throughout the whole game, as mentioned in the player ratings video. Don't forget to check that video out. Again, I will leave the link down below and you can click directly onto it, or even go to the TikTok Reds and Respawns and there'll be content on there too. But going back to Mo Salah, what a player he was. This goal was sort of, it wasn't a goal where there was build-up play and stuff like that. There was no build-up to this goal. It was a goal kick that went towards Bournemouth. It was sort of a loose ball. Mo Salah's chasing it. The defender didn't expect him to be as relentless as he was. He then latched onto the ball and took it well with his right foot and clinically finished it into the bottom right corner. This game in particular was an emotional one for Mo Salah. Even at the end of the game, he went to applaud the cop and he was in tears, obviously for obvious reasons due to Diogo Jota. And the way he went on to get to that, the relentless run that he went on to get that goal, it just shows exactly who he did it for. It was for that man there, our number 20, forever our number 20, Diogo Jota. But yeah, overall, it was a good performance from the team with a few shaky mistakes, a few errors, and a few gaps in the team. But that's with every team, especially with the amount of signings we've made. They will take time to gel. Players like Florian Wirtz, Jeremy Frimpong, Milos Kerkez and Hugo Ekitike will take time to adapt to the style of play that we usually do. And it will take a bit of time for the team to get into a rhythm and gel well together, but it will come. Once we do and we erase all these errors, we will be an unstoppable force. And with the likelihood of Alexander-Arnold coming in and another defender on top of Giovanni Leone, I think we will be a force to be reckoned with. But yeah, I think the performance was decent. Attackingly, we were quite fluid. We didn't have... Our press was on point. It was just defensively we were a little bit shaky. We did concede a fair few chances to Bournemouth. That's why I can't really go from this game and say Bournemouth will have a good season, because it was more down to our defensive holes than Bournemouth play. However, they did create a few chances in that first half where they should have ideally scored, but they failed to be as clinical as we were. For those fans that are overreacting about yesterday's performance, I'll just say there's nothing to worry about. You guys, including myself, we were all asking for new signings. We were asking for the club to put the money in and get these players and get some sort of players, get some sort of talent over the line. And they have done that now, but now we have to be patient with them. And once they start to gel, I'm telling you, we'll be a force to be reckoned with. That's why we're favourites for majority of the cups this season. And it will start to show. But yeah, there are a few holes, as I said, that need to be ironed out in this team, especially defensively. But first and foremost, we need to get the answer on Konaté's contract situation, because Konaté's situation looked like it was more to do with mentally than a physical aspect of his game. So I definitely want an answer from Konaté as soon as possible. And if the answer is no, then the door's that way. If he wants to go to Spain and drink whatever he wants to drink and sit in the villas or whatever he wants to do, Costa del Sol, whatever it's called, then so be. He can go do that. He can go see his pal Trent. If he wants to be covering for him on the right hand side, then he could do that. So be it. But yeah, people, that will be the end of this video. Don't forget to like and subscribe if you haven't done so already. And if you want more content like this, or if you have any ideas, jot them down below and I will take a look into them. I don't mind at all. And don't forget to follow up the rest of the socials, the Instagram, the TikToks, Reds and Respawns, as we're not hard to find. But yeah, people, I'll see you in the next one. Bye-bye.